Welcome to Characters. My name is Laura Diaz. My guest today is Tess Higgins, a content creator and screenwriter. Her film Him is now available for streaming. The easiest way to support the show is to be following and subscribed wherever you're listening today. You can also keep the conversation going in the comments. Also, if you're in Denver, I will be hosting watch parties for this upcoming season of The Bachelorette starring Taylor Frankie Paul, which we will be discussing in today's episode. So if you're interested in attending the watch parties, I'll be sharing details on social media ASAP. All of my socials are linked down below. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Tess Higgins, welcome to Characters.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you.
Yay.
I'm really excited to talk to you about Bachelor Nation today.
Yes.
Because I know that you are not just a Bachelor consumer, but you are also someone who has brought The Bachelor into your professional life a little bit as well.
Yes.
How did you get into watching reality TV at the level that you do now as a content creator?
Well, it really did all start with The Bachelor for me. It's kind of like my bread and butter. It's the one that I feel like the most expert in. I do consider myself a scholar of reality television, but that's like my specialty is Bachelor Nation. But it really started because when I was on a trip with my parents, we were in Miami, and my mom was like, oh, we have to finish dinner by a certain time because I have to get back to the hotel to watch The Bachelor. And it was Rachel Lindsay's season of The Bachelor or Bachelorette. And my mom was watching it because my brother was doing Bachelor fantasy in his fraternity, and she knew that he would text her back more quickly if they were talking about The Bachelor, like at this, because she knew he'd be on his phone and do fantasy. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll just watch this with my mom. And I got locked in like right then and there. And what really took it to the next level, I think, was discovering that Bachelor Reddit was a thing. I think I discovered that in Ari's season, and that's when I kind of discovered there were people sleuthing things. There were spoilers. Like there was just this deeper level of a way to like consume media than I was used to. And I was just like fascinated by all of it.
I didn't realize that people looked up spoilers either until much later in my viewing experience.
Yeah. Well, it was also an accident for me. Like the first time it happened, like because I found the Reddit, and that was the season I think that Ari, originally proposed to Becca and then changed his mind and went to Lauren. And I, on Reddit, accidentally clicked on something and it was like, Ari goes back to Lauren. And I was like, I didn't even know he picked Becca yet. Like, what? And so that was a crazy thing to discover and then kind of have to see it play out on the show. And so I always ended up thinking too, like spoilers actually aren't that bad because you can know what happened, but you don't know why it happened or how it happened. And so I didn't mind that much when I was spoiled there because it was so juicy anyway. So
that was a juicy season.
Yeah.
That was a juicy season. Bachelor pre-COVID.
Yes.
Let's say like pre-2018, 2019, like was great television.
Yeah.
And I feel like a big part of it being so great to watch was that we were all more offline. There was not social media to the extent that it was now. And The Bachelor was far less of a social media opportunity for people.
Yes.
Of course, there is some fame and notoriety from like being on reality television.
Yeah.
But not to the level it is today.
Right. Yeah. It's really shifted too because I think it was like after Chris Soule's season, that was like 2014 was when all those girls were the first ones to kind of like blow up and become like Instagram famous, like Ashley Iaconetti, like Caitlin Bristow, Jade Roper Talbert, or what, like all of them were millions of followers right away, and that just doesn't happen anymore. Like last season when I was like watching Bachelor in Paradise this summer, I was like, I have more followers on TikTok than a lot of these girls do, which is crazy. Like, and I'm just the one talking about them. They're the ones on the show, you know. But it really has changed everything.
How do you feel like that impacts the spin-offs? Do you watch any of the spin-offs? Do you watch like the Golden Bachelor, Bachelorette?
I watched the first episode of The Golden Bachelor this year, and then I just kind of tapped out and I like listened to some podcast recaps. It was like actually the first time I haven't watched a Bachelor product, but I think they did so well that first season of Golden Bachelor. Did you watch it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
It was like so emblematic of like what the spirit of like The Bachelor like was when it started and what it like at its best should be, which I think is like a focus on the contestants and like what is the experience of being a contestant. And in that case it was like all these older women who are like discovering themselves after divorce or after the death of a partner and are like you know, getting to be themselves instead of mom, and like also becoming friends. And that was also very true in the Golden Bachelorette. It was like all the dads hanging out together, and it was very sweet and fun. And then when you take this guy who was like saying, oh,
He was like,
I only want to date like 45-year-olds to 60-year-olds, and like no wigs, no bad hips. It's like that takes away from like the tone that the show has set. So it just felt like very incongruent, like to watch as a viewer. Like, well, if you want your show to be this like special, like wholesome thing, then you can't pick someone who is going to say things that are going against the tone of the show that you set.
Yeah. I mean, the value of choosing the right lead
is
I feel like it should be obvious. Like,
Yeah.
that's what your whole show is based around. This one person dating 20 plus contestants at a time.
Right.
It needs to be the right person. And so, yeah, with a show like The Golden Bachelor, I don't even remember that guy's name, I have to say, because I didn't
Mel.
love that. Oh, sorry.
Mellow. Sorry. Mel.
I didn't love that season. I mean, I watched a couple episodes and I was like, this is just not it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first two seasons, The Golden Bachelor and Bachelorette, I thought were really good because the premise, you're right, is so sweet. It's people finding themselves after some big life change.
Yeah.
And you know they're not really there for the social media opportunity.
Yeah, they like barely know how to get on TikTok in the first place.
Yeah, so it feels like a very pure experience for them to be going through this, not only to find love, but to like do something different.
Yeah. Which I think too, like when you get into like the whole critique of like, oh, like who's here for the right reasons or whatever. I think that in today's day and age, it's like, I think I get bothered by anyone who criticizes people for wanting to be famous when they go on a reality show, or like wanting to be an influencer, because it's like, that's just what this is now. You know, we can't just teleport back to 2003 when like cell phones weren't like full of opportunity. And now the quote unquote right reasons, I think, has to be just to have fun and see what happens, you know? I mean, I just think there's like no way around it at this point. It's the people who want to be famous make good TV.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. That's just the world that we're living in today. And like people going on television today, and there's so much more opportunity, right? Like there's so many reality shows, so many dating shows, but people going on television today know that they are going to be shown in a certain light. How do you feel like The Bachelor has influenced other dating shows? Like, I know that you're a Love Island watcher, a Love is Blind watcher. Which is your favorite now?
I think Love is Blind has become like my new favorite, mostly because there's always so much to talk about with it, because it's the closest thing I think you can get to like a real life examination of a dating experience on TV, because they do get to live with each other. They get to meet all their friends and family. Like they have a month of just dating each other instead of dating a bunch of different people. Like it's the closest thing I think you can get to like reality, but it's also so fascinating because of how much scrutiny the show has been under over the years, like with multiple lawsuits. There recently, like, well, not recently, it was last year, I think, the National Labor Relations Board had a complaint that Love is Blind cast members need to be classified as employees. I personally like worked with Nick Thompson from season 2 on my feature film, and I learned so much about all of this from him, and like kind of how these legalities and the protections of unscripted performers like is really important and really matters. And I think that that's why I'm so drawn to Love is Blind, because I know there's so much like, you know, chaos behind the scenes, and like how they've really had to like try and reinvent and make sure that like things look better this season. And there's always a controversy over some person who was cast that like has had some kind, usually a man, who's had some very unsavory past, and it just brings to light again like how important picking your cast is. So,
and I feel like the big complaint in recent seasons is like, love is not blind.
No,
like we answered the question.
We did answer the question. Yeah.
What about a show like Love Island, where you're like hidden cameras, a little bit less intervention? You're still like producing day to day with those challenges and stuff, but you're like a truly isolated bubble environment.
Love Island is also extremely fascinating to me, because there's the difference between a show that was filmed 5 months ago that we're watching now versus something that's like playing out live, and they have no ability to participate in any sort of like watching back experience. they have to just imagine what other people are saying about them, and they can't really respond to any criticism that they're getting in the moment. They might be thinking too, like, everything that I'm doing right now, I'm being portrayed as like, I'm so righteous, like everything's fine. Meanwhile, they're being portrayed as like the worst person on the show, and they just have no idea, which I thought was really interesting. Did you watch the season this summer? Yeah. When like the audience voted to split up Huda and Jeremiah, and she took it as like, oh, the audience sees that Jeremiah is wronging me, and like I need to get away from him, when really like our perception was like, no, I think Jeremiah should date someone else, right? And so I'm sure it's like a real like, you know, mind prison when you're there, because you can't really know what's real or not.
Yes. And you can see that a little bit in people being introduced.
Yeah.
The bombshells coming in, because Iris.
Yeah.
Kind of famously, I don't know if it was her or another woman who said to her, like, you're the sacrificial lamb. Like, she had watched up until that point, and she knew what was happening between them.
Right, yeah.
So she also knew that she was coming in to, like...
serve a purpose.
Serve a purpose, exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of awful.
Yeah, it is.
I felt so bad for her watching that back. Like,
I know, me too.
She's thriving now, so that's fine.
Yeah. But... I mean, I think I, too, like, we all know that, like, there's levels of manipulation on reality TV from, like, small to big. But I think that anything that effectively like takes agency or a choice away from someone who's on the show in a situation where there should be a choice, that feels crazy and weird to me, which is what happened to Iris. Like, normally you'd get to choose who to, you know, couple up with, and neither her or Jeremiah got to choose. They were just forced to like be put together, and they were lucky enough that they were cool with each other. But let's say that Jeremiah was someone where she was like, I feel really uncomfortable around him. Like, I don't like that guy. I don't want to sleep in a bed with him. Like, that puts your cast in a dangerous position when they cannot, like, you know, make a choice.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. I want to ask you about a Bachelor spinoff that I have kind of strong opinions on, and I think it's more on the production side.
Yes.
Are You My First? Did you watch that?
I did not.
Okay. Well,
yeah. I because it's also not technically a Bachelor spinoff, but it has two Bachelor hosts, right?
Oh, I was under the impression that it's from Bachelor Nation.
I mean, it's in the Hulu universe or whatever, but not a direct spinoff or anything.
Okay. Well, thank you for correcting me. Thank you. Well, I was going to share. So Are You My First was what I understood to be a Bachelor spinoff, but I guess it's just like Bachelor adjacent.
Yeah, Bachelor adjacent, yeah.
Where you have two previous Bachelor lead hosts, one of whom is Colton, who I do not believe should be on television, honestly.
And me as well.
I think he's a criminal. So anyway, Are You My First is a dating show for virgins.
Yes.
People are coming on this show saying that they are interested in meeting someone to lose their virginity to.
Yeah.
And interestingly, everyone on the cast comes in with different, I guess they're calling them like justifications, essentially, like in the initial episode of why they are virgins at whatever age they are. And a lot of the women come in with like more feminist narratives of like, I'm picky. I want, like, this is a big decision for me. I am, you know, I'm making a big decision for myself. A lot of the men come in with these narratives about like traditional family structures, or they like lean more into like religious narratives, perhaps, whatever. So it doesn't really matter what these people's justifications are, because in the commentary and the way they're edited, they're joking about, well, that isn't going to do you any favors in like what you're here to do. And like the jokes are that these people are still virgins. So the people amongst themselves, you can tell the cast is very comfortable with like the reason they're coming on this show. They're very comfortable speaking about this on camera and with one another, because there's like a common ground there. But they are being like made fun of by production. And it just felt so gross to watch. And I made a video about it as I was watching it, and I couldn't finish the season because I was like, this feels wrong.
Yeah.
And a couple of girls that were on the show commented, and they were like, yeah, all of the challenges were really uncomfortable.
Wow.
All of the commentary watching back was uncomfortable. And it's a show where like the people were treated as, I mean, like you were saying, they don't have agency, but in theory, like in the moment they did have agency.
Right.
And the challenge is that they have no agency over how they're being portrayed.
Sure. Yeah.
And they think they're coming into this being able to be truly themselves, and they're being sold this promise of like
experience with others who experience the same thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy, because I think too, like, to kind of tie it into like what's going on in like Trader's world right now, Peacock posts this statement being like, oh, please be kind to all of our contestants, like we don't condone any bullying or harassment, blah blah blah, which I completely co-sign, I completely agree with. But if your priority is to make sure that all of your contestants are not bullied or not harassed. That also rests on, that's your responsibility as a show to portray people in a way that's not going to draw such negative attention. That's part of it too. Yeah. Like, we have reactions based on like what we're shown. And there's, I do believe there's always a way to like portray someone like more forgiving or to be less forgiving to someone that we see on screen. And I think that Are You My First situation is a good example of it. It's like, if you want your audiences to like root for the people that are on our screens, then like we can't kind of be like treating them like trash.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's way less fun to like point and laugh than it is to be like, oh my gosh, like I hope so and so like achieves whatever goal it is.
I agree.
Or yeah.
I agree. As a viewer, I want to be rooting for the person.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, which is I think a lot of what people's critiques were of like Love is Blind season 9, the Denver season, because it was really hard to root for those people.
Yeah.
And that's the exact opposite of what you should be feeling in Love is Blind. You want, I mean, there's always going to be like a chaos couple, but you want at least like one person to be like,
yeah,
oh, love is real, you know? Otherwise, what's the point of the show?
Yeah. And for the vast majority of people that we meet on reality TV today, it's the first time we're meeting them.
Yes.
This is their introduction to the public eye for the most part.
Yeah.
On the flip side, going back to The Bachelor, how do you feel about having a Bachelorette that the public already knows?
Yes.
How are you feeling about the Taylor Frankie Paul season?
I'm extremely intrigued because I'll be honest, I never saw them going this route because they've had opportunities to do it in the past, you know, when people were demanding like, oh, someone's supposed to be the lead, someone's supposed to be the lead. And they've always kind of been like, oh, we're never going to cast a celebrity. It's always going to be like a real person or like someone that we've gotten to know. And so to me, this feels like a very much like a break glass in case of emergency situation where they must really be struggling and they have to do something crazy that will get a lot of people talking in order to like survive. Yeah. Because at least what I've heard from other, you know, podcasts who talk about Bachelor is that, you know, they were originally like casting men to be the Bachelor. They were going to cast a random dude to be the Bachelor. So like not someone who'd come from a previous season, but it was still going to be like a regular guy.
Yeah.
And they were in conversations with a lot of people. And then out of nowhere, that kind of turned into like, oops, now we're doing this Bachelorette.
Yeah.
So my best guess is that maybe there's someone in that pool of the dudes they were interested in to be the Bachelor who they were like, let's put you on this season with Taylor Frankie Paul that we know everyone's going to watch. They'll love you. And then we make you the Bachelor. So it's almost like reverse engineering a Bachelor that we're all going to have like strong feelings about or want to see.
Yeah.
That's what I think like ultimately is what their goal is going to do. Like, I don't think they're going to cast like a Robert Irwin or, you know, like another male celebrity after her. Like, I think this is a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. What do you think was like the fall of Bachelor Nation where they need to break glass in case of emergency with Taylor Frankie Paul?
Oh, there's so many things, but I really think that if I had to, I think the casting of Colton. If we go far back enough, because that
was my answer.
Well, it really set a bunch of dominoes falling into place that like, if it was someone else, I think might have been avoided, because I think he had a very strong cast. And then obviously Hannah Brown came after him and that was great. But then with her, we got Pilot Pete, and that was a big wash of a season. Then we had the Claire and Dale of it all, the La Quinta season.
Oh
which
my
was,
God.
That was all very entertaining, but still
that was a fever dream.
Low point. Matt James's season, a low point because it was overshadowed by all the other like off-screen drama with like Chris Harrison. And then we had Katie Thurston's season. People were not super invested in her or the person that she chose. Like it's just one thing after another. And I believe that if perhaps we had Jason Tartick or Blake Hortzman as a Bachelor after Becca Kufrin's season, I think we'd be in a much different place today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about like Al Gore at Al Gore.
Yeah.
That's how I think today. But you're right with The Bachelor. I do think it all started with Colton. And I also feel like there was a lot of slipping through the cracks in
Yep.
the casting process that became very obvious to audiences in a world where we have so much information about people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like even this last season or I guess it was the last Bachelorette season with Jen.
Yeah, yes.
And the guy who she ultimately chose also had a very questionable background. I believe he also had a criminal background. Like there was just so
there
many,
was a restraining order.
there was a restraining order. There was like so many people who would like slip through the cracks. And in a world where we have so much information, where people are so connected, it is so easy while a season is airing to off screen like build your biases against this person.
Yep.
I think it's really challenging. Like, do you think there's a world where a show like The Bachelor, where the end goal is engagement, that we can still have that in 2026?
I think you can, but I think you have to like treat it differently than you did like in 2001 or whatever. I think, again, it really comes down to casting, and I think you have to, because at its best, like reality TV is a mirror for our society. And the way that we, I think, as I'm going to say, young women as a whole generally tend to feel about dating today is different than how it was even 5 years ago, you know? And so as audiences and their opinions on relationships evolve, so must this show, or else it's going to feel like it's stuck in the past. And that, I think, is what is a driver of success for Love is Blind and Love Island, because I think Love Island really mimics like casual dating and like hookup culture really well. And then Love is Blind, I think, mirrors dating in your late 20s and early 30s and like trying to get to know someone and like, are they the right person for me? Like, I think those are all like interesting conversations that can be had with those shows. But The Bachelor has an end goal of being engaged, which, you know, anybody can get engaged.
Yeah.
It's not that hard, you know? What's harder is like finding a meaningful, long-lasting, mutually beneficial relationship. I think that's an accomplishment. But if the biggest thing that you have to be proud of is getting married as a woman, then I think that takes away like, you know, some a piece of like where we are today, because it's not our biggest accomplishment anymore. It's like certainly a piece of like a life that people may want to have with like a family and children. Maybe that's a dream that they see for themselves, but it's not kind of this like symbol of worth that I think it used to be.
Yeah.
And so I think if they did away with the engagement, that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And like more of just like I'm trying to find my person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. One other dating show from a totally different world that I think interestingly really talks a lot about the marriage portion of the show is Farmer Wants a Wife.
Oh,
Did you watch that?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, I mean, you really weren't missing out. It was, I have to say, it was like really good red pilling content. Like it was, it really was a great example of like conservative media for young people. And I think if you can be aware of like what's happening, it's fascinating to watch the conversations that happen. So the premise is that there are 4 alleged farmers, supposedly like not all of them are even farmers, but whatever. So there are these 4 men that are like looking for a wife, and they're simultaneously dating. So the show is cutting in between these 4 scenes of people dating, and the 5 women that each person is dating are like living on their farm or whatever. So the conversations that each of them are having are like, okay, are you ready to have my children? Like, are you ready to get married and be a stay-at-home wife? And like, are you willing to give up your career as a nurse, as a whatever? And like, that was a big challenge for some of them. Like, oh, but this woman is so career driven. And like, I don't think that this is the right life for her. So on a show like that, of course the end goal is marriage. And of course the end goal is, and I don't think it actually ends that way. I think at the end of the show, they just date.
Yeah.
And the show, the US version is a spinoff from the Australian version. But yeah, the premise of the show is like really deeply tied to these conservative values that are like talking about marriage the whole time.
Yeah. Well, it's also like very like male centered, is like the farmer wants a wife, right? Like it's all about like, I have to get exactly what I want, which is, that's one thing the Bachelor franchise does well, is that it flips back and forth between like man's in charge, woman's in charge. It could still, I think, do better in that realm, because I think they are very bad at casting men for the women they choose to lead the shows. But at least there is a little like give and take. Yeah. Speaking
of women cast on shows with a male lead, I'd love to talk to you a little bit about him.
Oh, yes.
Your indie film. You've told me that the film was heavily inspired by Bachelor Nation.
Yes. Yeah.
And at a very high level, the 5 last contestants on this show are realizing that they're being played by the lead.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about like creating that film, the thought process behind it, like the work that went into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was like in 2018, I wrote a play that was like inspired by The Bachelor, and it was Ari's season that was on at the time. And it was that whole kind of like moment when Becca's been wronged because Ari's like, he broke up with her on camera and she's sobbing, and then they decide to make her the Bachelorette. And when they're at after the final rose, she's on stage with Chris Harrison being announced as the Bachelorette, and they bring out like 5 of the other girls from that season, and they're all sitting on the couch like hugging each other. And Chris Harrison says to Becca, like, oh, all the guys on your season are going to have to compete with this. And she was like, yeah, I guess I did find love here. And I was like, oh, that is so interesting to me. I was like, look at all of these girls who were like dating the same guy, all convinced that they were in love with him. And now they're like, forget about Ari, like, we're friends now. Yeah. And I thought that was like really ripe for storytelling. And like at the end of the day, that's usually what I end up caring more about. I am very intrigued by the friendships that develop out of reality television. There's a reason that we all love like Leah, Janae, and Serena from Love Island. You know, there's a reason we love like Deepti and Natalie from Love is Blind. We like seeing duos, and we like seeing women supporting other women. Yeah. We even like seeing bros supporting the bros, like, you know, like Aaron and Rob on Love Island. And so I was like, I would love to tell a like Bachelor inspired story that's from the perspective of just the women, which meant that you never see the Bachelor in this film. You never even hear his name.
Okay, spoiler alert.
But that's kind of the point, is that like the lead doesn't really matter. Yeah. And the reason that a lot of times we want to watch The Bachelor is because we're getting to know all these new people. Yeah. Especially because the past, I don't know, 5 years or so, of excluding Joey probably, no one's really been that into whoever's been the Bachelor. Yeah. Clayton, Colton, Pilot Pete, Grant, like no one was like, oh my God, I need Grant to be the Bachelor, you know? And so at the end of the day, it kind of doesn't matter. It's like, oh, we're watching for these new people and figuring out who they are. Yeah. Yeah.
I really appreciate that. I always say on those dating shows, especially a show like The Bachelor, when someone says, I'm not here to make friends, why not? Like, you know, most of you are going to lose. Like, why would you not want to make friends with these other 20 women that you are living with?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, too, it's like, it's also an opportunity for you. Like, if you are not going to win and you're going to build your platform or do whatever you want with it, you will succeed more if you're, like, a unit. Yes. If you're part of a, like, special duo, or, like, you know, someone that people can always point to and be like, oh, those guys are always together, or, like, those girls are always together, you know? And I feel like people kind of ran with the I'm not here to make friends from like competition shows like Survivor, where like you know, you are like lying to people there and stuff, but in The Bachelor it's a little different. It's like you should be trying to make friends because that's how you'll do better. No,
I agree. And I'm glad that you mentioned Joey's season. Yeah. Because Joey was a recent Bachelor that seemed to do really well, and a lot of people enjoyed his season, but it really wasn't for him. It was because the women were so much fun. Yeah. And even today, we are also attached to Kelsey. Yeah. And Joey is like a side character of the character of Kelsey on social media. Yeah. So that's another one where like the lead was less important than the relationships we built up with.
Yeah. The thing that was good about Joey is that he was like regular. Yeah. He was nice. And he was like the mirror of like, if your friend was dating Joey, you'd be like, oh, good for my friend. Yeah. You know, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, I have to date my friend's boyfriend, but you'd be like, oh, good for her. He's nice. Like, you know, whereas I don't think you could say that about a lot of the other like leads. Yeah. So
we were saying that the last time we got together, we talked about Ben Higgins' season. Yes. And that was quite some time ago in like golden age of The Bachelor. Yes. But like he was a really regular, boring, no offense guy. Like the point was not that we were watching it because of Ben. We were watching all of these fabulous women that were like the first big batch of influencers just from the cast. Yeah. Like Lauren Bushnell, later Lauren Lane. Yeah. JoJo came from that season. Amanda Stanton came from that season. Yeah. Like fabulous, fabulous cast of people. Yeah. And we were invested because of them. It was actually great to have a lead that kind of faded into the background.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt that way about Ari too.
Yeah.
Like his cast is probably my favorite of all time. Becca Martinez with the pixie cut. Crystal, she's my favorite Bachelor villain ever. Kendall with her taxidermy. Like CN, everyone is just like so watchable.
Yeah.
Infinitely watchable. Yeah.
Yeah. And it felt very watchable too because the stakes were a little bit lower with
Yeah.
less access to them.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a concept for a dating show, as someone who is a scholar of reality TV, a concept for a dating show that you feel like hasn't been explored that you'd like to see?
Wow, this is such a good question. I mean, I think a lot of this is something that they've said on like Game of Roses before. Great podcast, love them. Where they've said that if a lot of shows would do better if they leaned more heavily on like what is it like to be on this show, you know, like what is it like to be a contestant on reality TV. What is it like from kind of the same way it is in my film, like focusing more on like the group of women than like the one guy, right? Yeah. Or producing kind of with your contestants in the sense that like they're kind of involved in the decisions about like how they will be portrayed, or like if they're like, we really want you guys to have some sort of confrontation about blah blah blah. I know it's a hot topic like to talk about like money. Can you guys talk about money for like 20 minutes or whatever? And like kind of if they're a little more in on it, then that probably creates a better product because people feel like they're not being taken advantage of. I agree with all those things that they've talked about, and I don't know how you could implement that in Bachelor, but I think that I would love to see like the people who are, you know, being documented have a little bit of a say in things as well, because we're at that point in like traditional film and media where like, you know, Margot Robbie can start her own production company, right? And now she has a say in certain decisions that are being made about Barbie, right? Yeah. So I don't know. Why can't we do that with people who are on reality TV too?
Yeah. As you were speaking, I was thinking about The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Yes.
So not a dating show.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they do that quite a bit where they break that fourth wall.
Yes.
And they love to talk about contracts and what's going on off season. And they are pumping out those seasons. Like those women are always filming. So we are actively watching them on the show develop their careers outside of the show. Yeah. Which is a fascinating break.
Yeah.
So different.
Yeah. And I love that. I actually think that's like a really kind of good example of like at least a little bit of what I'm getting at, because in a way it is more real, because it's like we're not pretending that you're just a bunch of moms in Utah who are making TikToks all day. It's like you are bigger than moms in Utah at this point. Like you are famous people, and that's the reality. So that's what we're going to be shown. Yeah. So
yeah. Gosh, I love that. What do you like to consume beyond dating shows? Like what's your reality TV choice?
Oh, I'm Survivor.
Okay.
I'm like
I knew
gagged
that.
for Survivor. I'm
I
obsessed.
Knew that.
But I also me and my boyfriend love Drag Race. It's kind of like the one show I like don't really talk about online because it's like my comfort show, and I just want, it's like I don't want to like think too hard about that one. I just want to have fun and enjoy it. Yeah. But yeah, we got into All Stars this summer, and we've been going back and watching old stuff, and it's great too, because I remember my boyfriend and I, we were like hanging out with his friends like a while back, and he was like, oh yeah, Tess is getting me into all our shows, and his friend was like, oh, like what do you like the most? And I thought he was gonna say Traitors, and he was like, probably Drag Race. And I was like, Drag Race is your favorite? And he was like, they're so funny. And I was like, you know what, they are so funny. Like, because it's the kind of show that you could watch and just like have fun. Yeah. And you don't really like feel like, I don't know, dark energies the way that sometimes you might when watching The Bachelor or Love is Blind, when you see a woman in a situation with a man who's lied about having children or something, you know? So it's like, oh, I get a break. It's a little more like pure. Yeah. And like the queens all know that it's like performative too. So
yes, like they're in on it.
Yeah. Yes. They're in on it. Yeah.
They're in on it. What I like about Drag Race is probably not even a common answer, but I love that it gives me the nostalgia of like Project Runway when I was a kid.
Yes. Oh my God. Project Runway was like,
when I was a kid, I loved Project Runway.
I loved it. Yeah.
And I feel like I get a little taste of that.
I had the DVD sets of seasons 1 through 3 of Project Runway with like Santino and everything. Yeah.
Wow. Wait, I love that. What were the reality shows as a kid, as a young person that you really enjoyed that like got you into reality TV?
I mean, it was like Project Runway was a
Yeah.
big one. I was super into American Idol when that
Yeah.
first came out. I remember like in 4th grade,
Calling on the Landline.
that was like Clay Aiken's season, and I was obsessed with him. And there was like a battle between me and another girl in my class of like who loved Clay Aiken more. And she was like, I would eat dirt for Clay Aiken. And I was like, all right, well, I wouldn't eat dirt, so I guess you like
can have
more
him.
You can have him. But those were like two of my big ones for sure. Yeah.
Oh, those are good answers.
Yeah.
Because that also was a time where like there was so much less choice in
there was,
reality
yeah.
television that those also felt like shows that were so universal.
Yeah, and like America's Next Top Model too. I watched a lot of that. And even like, this is like a real deep cut, but there were like some shows that were like kid versions of like reality shows. Like, I can't remember what channel it was on, but there was this show called Endurance, and it was like a kid's version of Survivor almost. And I loved Endurance. I like barely remember any of the people, like anything about it. I just remember like sitting down and watching Endurance and being like, wow, these little Survivor kids are so cool.
Whoa.
And I think one of them, I may be wrong about this, I think I'm remembering correctly, but I think someone who was on Endurance actually went on to play Survivor and is now in the 50th season of Survivor.
Oh my God.
Jonathan Young. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right. So
Even the concept of like reality television for kids is so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's crazy.
I used to love like Trading Spaces, Boys versus
Oh
Girls.
yeah, I watched a lot of Trading Spaces
Yeah.
and like What Not to Wear. Wow, I forget about like all those ones too.
Oh,
Yeah,
my sister and I were just talking about what not to wear.
Yeah.
Imagine learning that everyone in your life is secretly filming you because you have such a terrible style.
yeah.
They're all making fun of you behind your back, and now you need to be made over.
Yeah.
Like, what a crazy concept for
I
a
know.
show.
A lot of the stuff back then too was very like, let's point and laugh.
Yeah.
You know, and I just don't think that's the vibe anymore. I
No.
don't think we want to point and laugh. I think we kind of want everyone to like
Yeah.
be in on the joke.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you were saying earlier, like I want, as a viewer, someone that I'm cheering on. That
Yeah.
I like want to see succeed.
Yeah.
And I want them to like have the growth through this experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I also think too, not to get like too deep about it or
Please.
anything, but that's also like why I think it's so important to like humanize the people that we watch on these shows, because if it really is like a point and laugh, I kind of think that makes us like worse as a society, because it makes us like more primed to want to see just the surface level like bad
Yeah.
aspects or like least flattering aspects of a person, or like make fun of someone for like how they're dressed or if they're ugly or, you know, whatever
Yeah.
it is. Like, whereas if we take the time to understand this, someone is a complex 3-dimensional individual, I think that makes us like better humans all around. And that's a thing that I think reality TV could do better. It's certainly better than it was in like 2000, because I've been watching old seasons of Survivor, and some of the way that they talk about the girls, I'm like, oy, this is like really bad. And like Parvati was like, back then everyone was like, oh, Parvati's like a little like slut, she's so mean, blah blah blah.
And look at her now.
Now Parvati is mother, you know. So like it's just so weird, like the way that things change like that. And like I watch her original seasons now and I'm like, yeah, she's mother. Like, how could anyone have come to a different conclusion than that? Like, you know, it just is so odd to me.
There's a lot of opportunity for like the human experience today to be baked into reality television.
Yeah, because that's how we like relate to people.
Yeah.
And that's also too why it's a very like nitpicky kind of opinion of mine, but I kind of hate when people use the word like scripted when they're talking about reality TV. Because like I understand what they're getting at, but I think like it's more accurate to say that shows are manufactured, highly produced, edited, like in a hyper controlled environment, like not an accurate representation of what happened. But when the idea scripted to me implies like everybody's in on it. We all know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
When you film a scene in Wicked, you know that like she's going to fly off. Everybody on that set knows she's going to fly off on a broomstick at the end of the day. In a reality show, most of the time, not everyone is aware of what the outcome is going to be. Like maybe producers are like, oh, we know we're going to embarrass someone right now, but the person who's going to be embarrassed doesn't know that.
Yeah.
Therefore, it cannot be scripted because not everyone is in on it. It's a manipulated situation. And I think that by saying something scripted, that's another way to distance ourselves from these people and not view them like as full three-dimensional human people, because we're like, oh, well, it was scripted, like they wanted the attention. And I think that it's like,
That's totally it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very nitpicky thing, but I think it matters, like the way that we talk about stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I agree. And I think that's like why a lot of the content today has the opportunity to be a little bit smarter about the way that we consume reality TV.
Yeah.
Like we want to dig a little deeper and like believe that these are real people that are being portrayed in a certain way. And we want to believe that we're both documenting and like experiencing it through a new lens.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was interesting too, because like when we were doing film festivals for him, I remember I got asked this one question that was like, you're talking about all these like things that are happening behind the scenes, or like the ethics of producing reality television, but you still love it. Like, do you feel like complicit? I'm like, well, yes, of course I feel complicit, but I think it's the same way that it's like people who watch football, but we know that a lot of people get like traumatic brain injuries with football, or like people are overworked in football, like, or like we all know that sometimes our forms of entertainment are not like pure and like don't always come from like the best place, the same way that like I could love chips, I love eating Lay's chips, but I could also be like, wouldn't it be nicer if like they didn't use trans fats? Wouldn't it be nicer if they baked these chips? Wouldn't it be nicer if they used avocado oil instead of whatever? Like, you know, you can always want whatever that thing is to be better, even if you know it's not like at its most pure form. And that's kind of how I feel about it, is like I love it because I want it to get better.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that people like us, the way that we talk about it, it's a little step in that direction. The more people we can get to think that way.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Tess, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me.
This has been such a treat.
So fun.
Oh my, I could talk to you all day.
Literally, yeah. Yap. I won't shut up. So
come back anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.